Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Mod Man. We are playing Grishoalbrand once again, and this time we are running up against Scapeshift, or Titan Shift as some people like to call it. Our opening hand was no good, no card draw, no reanimate spells, so that had to be gone. This is slightly better. We've got Goryo's Vengeance, and we have got 3 draw spells. Unfortunately, we've got no black mana, so it's a bit of a risk. But it looks like I end up keeping this. Might as well tick that mountain back, because hopefully we're going on the Goryo's Vengeance plan. And yeah, we're just going to have to hope that we find a black source in short order here. So our opponent plays Search for Tomorrow. Interestingly, search up a forest. I'm not entirely sure why that's the case. I don't know if they've just not got stomping grounds or what the situation is, but kind of interesting. Generally you want to be searching mountains with Scapeshift most of the time, so it's a little bit interesting. So we've got Discovery here. We're going to be able to Surveil 2. We see Grishoalbrand and Through the Breach, and then we get to draw a card. So I think we probably want both those cards in the bin. Obviously Grishoalbrand good to see, because we're probably looking to Goryo's Vengeance. That's our main target, so it's nice to be able to get that in the bin. I guess we should pop out our graveyard here. And we probably don't want to draw Through the Reach either, so both of those can go in the bin, and we draw a second Goryo's Vengeance, which is nice. We cast Farseek. There's a Stomping Ground, so yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the logic was in searching up just the forest. So draw into Nourishing Soul, which is not entirely the worst, because we are looking to get Grishoalbrand here, and so we only really need to find a Worm Coil, World Spine Worm, to go with this Nourishing Soul, and we can be able to gain 11 life and draw that much deeper into our deck. So we do find those cards. We can Nourishing Shoal. Also our Splice Desperate Ritual on here. I mean, it's not strictly necessary, I don't think, but we can actually generate a little bit more mana by splicing Desperate Ritual onto Nourishing Shoal. Unlikely to be particularly necessary, but just a worthy thing to note. So if we dig a little bit deeper, cast Nourishing Shoal, cast Faithless Looting, get Boborygmos into the graveyard. I'm going to cast this Monomorphose into Goryo's Vengeance, which returns Boborygmos to the battlefield. We attack for 14 here because our opponent has nothing going on, and then we get to fling lands at our opponent's face with Boborygmos to finish them off. So that was a nice turn 3 win there, I think that was. So nice and speedy win, and yeah, no chance for our opponent really to combat that. So we pick up a nice, quick and easy win. Okay, so here we are with the sideboard. So in terms of sideboard options, Blood Moon is obviously a way of turning off the Valakut kill, which certainly is the fastest way they can kill us realistically. And certainly makes it much more difficult for them to kill us. They always have Primeval Titan, and attacking us with Primeval Titan as their sort of alternate win condition, but certainly the Valakut plan is their main plan, and Blood Moon shuts that down nicely. So that's certainly one of the cards we're looking to bring in. Also want to bring in some Shattering Sprees. I think we are likely to come up against some artifact hate, some graveyard hate rather, most likely in the form of Relic of Progenitus. So having that artifact hate and a way to answer Relic or some other any other artifact graveyard hate is good to have. So I think we preemptively want to bring those in. Some of the sort of Titan Shift or Scapeshift decks run main deck Relic anyway, so I think that's a card we want to be looking to bring in. In terms of cards to bring out, fairly well set up, but I think Lightning Axe doesn't really do anything. It is an instant discard spell, but I don't think comboing at instant speed is really a priority. in this particular matchup, so I think we can get rid of the Lightning Axe, and then maybe the Rituals. I think they're slow enough that ramping the mana is probably not going to be the most important. Collective Brutality is probably not its best either. Really the only mode that's particularly relevant is this discard mode, but I don't think that's the way we're going to be winning this matchup, so I don't think those are particularly important. And then if we want to cut anything else, I'm not sure. I think that's probably about all we want to cut. Certainly the draw spells, we just want to dig to our combo as fast as possible for the most part, and then we can finish off our opponent. Seems like a good matchup in general, just because we're racing, and I think our combo should be, at least most of the time, better, that much faster than Scapeshift. So let's see how we go. But yeah, I think bringing in at least some number of the Blood Moons and a Shattering Spree or two, just as a preemptive answer to Graveyard Hate. Okay, so here we are with game 2. Grishoalbrand versus Scapeshift. It's our opening hand. We've got the Nourishing Shoal Worldspine Worm combination here, but not anything to dig us any deeper. We've got Shattering Spree, as I say, which we were bringing in preemptively against Graveyard Hate, but I don't think we can really keep this. It doesn't really do anything on its own. This hand is only marginally better. I mean, I'm not in love with it, to be honest. We can dig Wonder card deeper. We get a Scry off this Temple of Malice, and we do have one of our Reanimate cards, so it's not the worst. I think this is keepable. But I ended up mulliganing it away, and this hand is also not terribly good. We've got Faithless Looting and Worldspine Worm, so we can dig a little bit deeper, and we have 2 Scries. So yeah, I guess keep this, ditch a couple of lands, keep the temples for scrying purposes. But it has Relic of Progenitors, as we predicted, so that might make our life a little bit more difficult. Fortunately, we've drawn through the Breach, which is our way around Relic of Progenitors. Temple of Malice finds us a Worldspine Worm, so we're definitely putting that to the bottom. Not the card we were looking for. Although, as it stands, we have the ability to, by turn 5, drop a Worldspine Worm, which could be good enough. Temple of Malice finds Grishoalbrand, which isn't bad. Potentially we could have Faithless Looting and dropped that into the graveyard, but obviously our opponent's got Relic. So I think we just bottom that. Look for other options. So I think right now my strategy is to, through the Breach, Worldspine Worm. That doesn't look like we did. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. Either way, I mean, we could have bombed it to dig for something further, but we also got Faithless Looting, so we can always pitch the Grishoalbrand. So yeah, right now yeah, I'm not sure if we bottomed that or not. Find out in the game log. This might be more complicated than I anticipated. I suppose it doesn't really matter. I mean, we could have bombed it, we could have not. The problem we have at the moment is obviously that our opponent has a Relic, so that is making the Goryo's Vengeance plan look not so great. But I don't really mind our position. One plays Prismatic Omen. They're not exactly going at a tearing rate. We draw Blood Moon, so we are, thanks to this basic swamp that we've got here, happy to play out the Blood Moon here, which obviously makes our opponent's life that little bit more difficult. And a Faithless Looting, we find Nourishing Shoal and a Simian Spirit Guide. But given our opponent seems to have stalled a little bit, I think we're happy to go through the Breach, Worldspine Worm avenue. So I decided to discard Shoal and Grishoalbrand. There are some options there, to be honest. We can Nourishing Shoal to make Through the Breach cheaper, but I don't think we could have kept all those cards. So I think I'm happy keep putting the. I suppose we could have. It doesn't really work, I suppose, because if we cast Nourishing Shoal, we have to exile the Worldspine Worm, in which case we couldn't have kept Grishoalbrand in the hand as well as Through the Breach. So I think this is the best play that we have. Maybe we didn't need a Swimming Spirit Guide, but I think we definitely want to be comboing as soon as possible, and this gives us the opportunity to cast Through the Breach next turn. So opponent uses Relic, which is fine. Just can exile Nourishing Shoal, Farseeks, up to 5 mana. Drop over Rigmos, which isn't particularly relevant, because we are going to Worldspine Worm. Attack for 15. I'll put it down to 4. And then we get 3 worms back as we sacrifice the Worldspine Worm. And it shuffles back into our library. So I think that wraps everything up. Yep. So our opponent can't combo off here and is facing down lethal. Well, far more than lethal on board. And that wraps things up. So, slightly interesting matchup. I think fairly straightforward victory for us, and seems like a pretty solid matchup for us in general. Obviously, the idea is just that we combo off faster than they do, which doesn't seem particularly difficult. They can be a bit faster. I think our opponent's hands and draws were a little bit on the slow side, but certainly we've got the possibility of comboing a lot earlier than they do, and fairly good chance of comboing earlier than they do, which gives us the good chance of winning this fairly regularly. I think this is a pretty good matchup for us overall.